Hello students, let's start with the next topic of our syllabus. If you remember, in last part I have told you that there is a law of equipartition of energy that we are not going to consider because that topic is little bit skipped from this year syllabus. Still it is essential to just take an overview. In short, we will see what is law of equipartition of energy. So in your book they have mentioned law of equipartition of energy says that for each molecule it will contribute each molecule each term along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. Each term contribute an amount of energy that is equal to 1 by 2 kBT is nothing but energy given by each term. And due to that, suppose if you write the equation for kinetic energy as they have given in a book, if the velocity has three components x, y and z in three dimension, we can write it as kinetic energy is 1 by 2 m into vx square x component plus 1 by 2 m into vy square y component and 1 by 2 m into vz square z component. This is x component of velocity, kinetic energy along x axis, y axis and this z axis. For each term, the contribution of energy, the total energy is equally partitioned into three parts here. So the each contribution or each distribution is 1 by 2 kBT. So if you put it for x axis it is 1 by 2 kBT contribution, and this y-axis again it is 1 by 2 kBT, and again for z-axis it is 1 by 2 kBT. If you put it like this, the total contribution becomes to be 3 by 2 kBT, and this is nothing but the law of equipartition of energy, which says that whatever the total energy, that total energy is equally distributed among each term, and the distribution is 1 by 2 kBT along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So this kinetic energy is translational motion. The contribution, total contribution becomes 3 by 2 kBT. Okay, so that is the meaning that they have shown, and this is said to be law of equipartition of energy. Why we have taken this? Because in the next topic we have to use this one. Okay, now let's go to the next topic, degree of freedoms. So what exactly the degree of freedom? Now remember, before going into degree of freedom, this law of equipartition of energy I have told you now here, that is for translational motion. I have told you same thing we have to apply it for rotational motion, and same thing we have to apply it for vibrational motion. But little bit the term get changed in rotational and vibration motion, because in rotational motion there are only two rotations, clockwise or anti-clockwise. So total energy distributed along two parts only, and in vibrational there may be n number of vibrations motions, so it gets changed a little bit there. So that will see later on. Let's go directly to the next topic, degree of freedom. So what exactly degree of freedom? Might be all of you are well known about the word freedom. Degree of freedom. Now all of you are well known about this word freedom. Everyone is interested in freedom now. Okay, everyone, even the small child also required freedom. They want to be free. They don't want to exert any pressure on them. So that is the freedom. So degree of freedom means what? Degree of freedom is one of the concept in physics. Suppose any one particle or any suppose a number of coordinates, number of independent coordinates required, to specify the motion, or to describe the motion. How many minimum coordinates are required which are independent? That minimum number of coordinates are said to be degree of freedom. If particle is moving along only one axis, x axis suppose, how many coordinates will required? Only one. Either it goes to this side or this side. This is the motion only. So accordingly, x coordinate is changing. Minimum number of coordinates required are 1. So that in this case, only one dimensional motion has 1 degree of freedom. If there is a plane like this blackboard, particle can move anywhere. It can goes up, it can go to right, left. Minimum coordinates required are 2. So that is said to be degree of freedom is 2. If it is a cubical shape, on that cubical shape, if particle is moving, then in that case, how many minimum coordinates required? 3. So degree of freedoms are 3. So degree of freedoms is nothing but a minimum number of independent coordinates required to specify the motion is said to be degree of freedom. In your book they have given the definition. Just read that definition. Degree of freedom of systems are defined as total number of coordinates or independent quantities required to describe the position and configuration of system, that is said to be degree of freedom. Just you have to remember the definition. Let's go to next, diatomic molecule and monoatomic molecules. What exactly monoatomic molecule and diatomic molecule is? So let's start with a monoatomic molecule. So monoatomic molecules, these are nothing but what? Elements of the molecule which has single molecule that is said to be monoatomic. And diatomics are nothing but the helium, for example, if you take helium, the mathematically or we can say chemically we can represent helium by He. So it is single molecule. Single molecule. Here it is single molecule, so it is said to be monoatomic molecule. Apart from this, if you take oxygen, it is O2. Nitrogen, it is N2. Okay, hydrogen, it is H2. So here it is two molecules, two molecules, two molecules. So it's said to be diatomic. This is monoatomic, and these all three comes in diatomics. So two molecules are required, two molecules of oxygen could create one molecule, that is nothing but diatomic. Here also here is di. So that is diatomic and monoatomic. So in monoatomic gas molecule, just like helium, it has three translational degree of freedom. Three means it can travel along x-axis, y-axis or z-axis in the space. So minimum coordinate required for their motion are 3 for their motion in space, translational degree of freedom. So that is said to be 3 translational degree of freedoms are there for monoatomic molecule. What about this diatomic molecule? Diatomic molecule can be represented as they have shown in your book. Suppose O2, we can represent one molecule of one atom of O2 here, and this is binded to another O2. So this is, suppose both are either made up of O2, so it is O2, O, one atom O, this is another atom O, together it will form O2. Now here there is axis may be like this. Okay, so here from this axis of rotation may pass like this vertical, they will rotate about this axis like this, horizontally, clockwise or anti-clockwise. Or if axis passes like this, they can rotate vertically like this. Okay, so there are two type of rotations are possible. So along with here He has 3 translational degree of freedom. Diatomic molecule has 3 translational degree of freedom. Along with this 3, 2 extra degree of freedom it has, and that are said to be rotational degree of freedom. Either they will rotate about vertical axis or they will rotate about horizontal axis. So it has total 5 degree of freedom. 3 translational plus 2 rotational. Okay, so that is nothing but diatomic molecule. In short, I have told you. Now let's go to next, specific heat capacity that we have to learn. So this topic we have just taken up till now. This is for just review only, because this topic is not asked in board examination, they told us, but still they have the same thing they have repeated in the next topic. That's why we have taken this part. Now let's go specific heat capacity. So if you remember, specific heat capacity, if you remember 11th standard, we have seen specific heat capacity. So specific heat capacity, it means what? Amount of heat supplied to the material to increase its temperature. Amount of heat supplied to material or substance to increase its temperature by 1 degree Celsius. How much heat you have supplied? That supplied heat is said to be specific heat capacity. Amount of heat required to increase the temperature of substance by 1 degree Celsius. How much amount of heat is required to increase the temperature of that material by 1 degree Celsius? The amount of heat supplied is said to be specific heat capacity. Now there are two types of specific heat capacity basically. Principal specific heat. So just first of all we'll go like this. It consists of two types basically. One is said to be principal specific heat capacity. Other is said to be molar specific heat capacity. Principal specific heat means what? In this case, amount of heat required to increase the temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree Celsius is said to be principal specific heat. The mass measured here, the substance can be measured in gram. So mass use here 1 gram. Amount of heat required to increase the temperature of substance of 1 gram by 1 degree Celsius. Amount of heat supplied is said to be principal specific heat. Molar specific heat is the word used for mole. So this is for solid we can use. Principal specific heat is a term for solids, because solids can be measured in grams. Liquid gas also we can take, but generally it is property of solids. So we can use this principal specific heat, where just instead of solid we can use the best way. It is to remember principal specific heat, mass is measured in grams. Amount of heat supplied to the substance to increase the temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree Celsius is said to be principal specific heat. Same definition here, but here instead of 1 gram mass, 1 mole of gas they will take. 1 mole amount of heat supplied to the substance to increase the temperature of 1 mole of substance by 1 degree Celsius is said to be molar specific heat. So these are the two specific heats. Apart from this both of them are again divided into two parts. The principal specific heat can be divided into principal specific heat at constant volume, principal specific heat capacity at constant volume, again principal specific heat at constant, specific heat capacity at constant pressure. What does it mean? Simple thing. Again, same heat supplied, but while supplying the heat, if the volume is constant, it is said to be principal specific heat at constant volume. While supplying that heat, if the pressure is constant, it is said to be principal specific heat capacity at constant pressure. Same thing here. The molar are again the molar specific heat at constant pressure, and it is constant volume. Cp and Cv we can say. Constant volume is constant to increase 1 mole of substance. Pressure is constant, heat supplied to increase 1 gram of substance. So these are nothing but a basic part we have learned about this principal specific heat, and the molar specific heat are the type of specific heats. Now here in this topic we have to derive the equation for specific heat capacity, and that is said to be Mayor's relation. So Mayor's relation. So Mayor's relation is nothing but a relation. This Mayor is a scientist who had derived the relation between the specific heat capacities. That equation we have to derive. So that equation gives the relation between specific heat capacity at constant pressure and specific heat capacity at constant volume. For that, what he has done, he has taken some ideal gas. So ideal gas is enclosed in a container which has a light, inextensible and rigid small type of piston. So in that case we have entered the gas. For example, I will draw it here. Suppose this is one of the tube we have taken. Suppose this is a tube and it has some small piston here. So this is suppose the piston, and this piston is attached here somewhere. It can move inside or outside like this. So this is a piston we have. So this part of the piston. Now this is said to be the piston, and that is attached here, and here within this piston and this chamber they have enclosed some gas here. This is the gas molecule, and the pressure of the gas molecule is suppose P. P is the pressure, V is the volume, and T is the temperature of this gas molecule. Now here this nothing but what piston can move up and down when there is change in volume only. If there is no change in volume, piston remains as it is. Now this is the condition. Now if we supply, suppose T is the temperature of this gas or molecule, T is the temperature of the gas in this or substance in this. If we increase the temperature by amount dt, just supply the heat to this receiver. So temperature get increased from T to T plus dt. dt amount of heat is supplied to this chamber, or this system we have applied the increase the temperature dt. Now what will occur, as due to change in temperature dt, this amount of heat is used to increase the internal energy. So internal energy just will be represented by dE. So this is nothing but a internal energy. So internal energy increases to dE because of applied energy, applied temperature dt. And suppose dq, one amount of heat is supplied. This much amount of heat is supplied to the receiver. Heat supplied to receiver is dq1, due to which the temperature increases to dt. Temperature increases to dt, T plus dt, and this increase in temperature is used to increase the internal energy of the system. Then we can write here one equation, that dq1 equal to, we can write simple equation, dq1 amount of heat supplied is used to increase the internal energy equal to dE, and that is equal to the nothing but what we have taken while doing this. Volume is not changing here. If volume is not changing, piston can't move. If piston can't move, volume is constant, so it becomes Cv into dt. Cv into dt. So this equation we get here. What we have done, we have supplied dq1 amount of energy to receiver, which will increase the temperature to T plus dt, and due to this temperature and due to this amount of heat supplied, the internal energy get increases by amount dE, and that is equal to Cv into dt, because while doing this, volume of the receiver is constant. So specific heat at constant volume comes here. dt is the temperature, increase in temperature. So this equation we can write. Suppose this equation 1, we will say this is equation 1. Okay, similarly now in second way, this is the first way, we have the first equation. Similarly in second way, suppose amount of heat supplied is dq now. Amount of heat supplied is dq, so that it will change the temperature to T plus dt, and the internal energy increases dE. But here, while supplying this energy second time, the volume is changing, pressure is kept constant. Volume is changing, pressure is kept constant. Initially here, volume is kept constant, pressure is changing. Now here, pressure is kept constant, volume is changing. Now what is the amount of heat supplied dq is used in the two way. Some part is used to increase the internal energy, and some part is used to change the volume. As volume gets changed, piston move backward and forward. As volume gets changed, piston move backward and forward. So there is a work done. So we can write another equation for this. So amount of heat supplied is dq, is used to increase the internal energy plus some work done, and that work done can be represented by dw, and work done here is in terms of moment of piston. And if pressure is constant while doing this, so we can write this as equal to Cp into dt, equation 2. Cp into dt, that is equation 2. So in this fashion we have written these two equations. Okay, but here the work done is dw, but we know the formula for work done is what? Work done can be written as dw equal to p into dv. So this work done is nothing but a dw, I will write here, work done equal to pressure into changing volume, p into dv. Okay, so this equations we get. Now the equation 1 and 2, I hope you got this, how we get equation 1 and 2. Now we can write here the further as equation 1 when the volume is constant, equation 2 when pressure is constant, but pressure is constant, volume is changing, that's why here there is a internal energy plus work done. Here volume is constant, so there is no expansion, so there is no work done, there is only change in internal energy. So these two equations accordingly we have written. Okay, after that we have to use one part. If you compare these two equations, we can see, or we can write from these two equations, simple thing that we can write Cp dt equal to Cv dt plus dw, Cp dt equal to Cv dt plus dw, because dE equal to Cv dt. Put this value of dE in this equation, rewrite the equation. So we can write here Cp dt, this side, equal to what? Cv into dt plus dw. dw is what? Work done. So we can write this again, Cv into dt plus p into dv, that is nothing but a Cp into dt. So we get this equation. dt is common in both this thing, so move this term to this side, rewrite the equation. I will write it here. So we can write here Cp minus Cv into dt, just move this term, it become minus Cp minus Cv into dt equal to what is remaining? P into dv is remaining. This equation we get, P into dv is remaining. So we get this equation. Now in this equation, P into dv, as we know, PV equal to, for 1 mole of gas, it is RT. Okay, so just take a derivative of this, P dv equal to R dt. Just PV equal to RT, P into dv equal to R into dt. Put this value of PV in this equation and rewrite the equation again. What we get? Cp minus Cv into dt, left hand side, equal to P dv is what? R into dt. Now this dt cancelled out. So what equation we get? Cp minus Cv equal to R. And this is the equation that is said to be Mayer's relation. This is the equation that is said to be Mayer's relation. Specific heat at constant pressure minus specific heat at constant volume is equal to R, that is universal gas constant, and this is said to be relation between two specific heat at constant pressure and volume. Difference between them is equal to universal gas constant, that is said to be Mayer's relation. So in this fashion we have derived this Mayer's relation. Apart from this, while deriving this equation up till now, we assume that the energy or heat energy or heat and mechanical energy can be measured in same unit, but we know that heat can be measured in different unit and mechanical energy can be measured in different unit. So heat can be measured in calories and work done can be measured in joules. Work done can be measured in joules and heat can be measured in calories. That's why this formula is further modified later. So to find out proper formula, what they have done, Cp minus Cv equal to R by J. J is a joule equivalent. So this is a modified formula. Same relation get modified to get a relation, because we know that heat and mechanical energy here, they are not measured in same unit. So that if we divide it by joule, we get a proper value. And that is a perfect equation. Now here, apart from this, in your book just they have given some different equations also. So let's start with that also. What they have tried to explain us in that relation. They have given for the equation they have given, I will write here, Cp equal to m0 into Sp and Cv equal to m0 into Sv. Such type of equations they have given. So what exactly Cp is? Again, the principal specific heat. M0 is molecular mass or molar mass. Might be you have learned in chemistry that M0 stands for molar mass. So it is a molar mass, and Sp and Sv are the new symbols they have used, and that they have used this Sp and Sv as a symbol for principal specific heat. Up till now, what are the Cp and Cv we are using? This is what is it? It is molar specific heat. Now this Sp and Sv are, these are symbol for principal specific heat. Principal specific heat. If you remember, we have seen specific heat are two types: principal, where the substance can be made in gram; molar, where the substance can be made in moles. So principal specific heat are represented by Sp and Sv. Some books they have used again the symbol Cv and Cp, but to bifurcate them here, Cp is a Cp and Cv are a symbol used for molar specific heat. Sp and Sv are a symbol used for principal specific heat. That's why they have written. So just if you put these values in this equation, you can write Cp minus Cv as what? M0 taken common, Sp minus Sv equal to R divided by J, joule. So Sp minus Sv equal to R divided by M0 into J. This is the relation for what? Principal specific heat, and this is a relation for relation for principal specific heat. This is the relation for another one that is you can't see here now, so that's fine. So I will make it down a little bit. So this is a relation for principal specific heat capacities, and this is a relation for molar specific heat capacities. Both are the Mayer's relation. Is that clear? So this is nothing but that topic we have learned. Now next part. It is interesting to use the law of equipartition of energy for monoatomic, diatomic and polyatomic gas molecule. This is the reason why I have taught you, in short, the law of equipartition of energy. Why I have taught you the monoatomic, diatomic molecule, because this topic we have to take. This topic is not skip according to the board reduced syllabus. This is not decreased, but the initial part is decreased. But to understand this, it is very essential to understand the law of equipartition of energy, and that's why we have taken that law of equipartition of energy. Okay, now let's go further with this application of this whole Mayer's relations to the diatomic, monoatomic and polyatomic gas molecule. So let's start with this, how this law of equipartition of energy is applied. So let's start with the first monoatomic molecule, monoatomic gas molecule. So let's start with the monoatomic gas molecule. If you take a monoatomic gas molecule, how can we use this law of equipartition of energy? That we'll see. Monoatomic gas molecule. Okay, so for this monoatomic gas molecule, as we know, monoatomic gas molecule has 3 degrees of freedom, and all these 3 degrees of freedoms are nothing but what? Translational degree of freedom. Monoatomic gas molecule can travel along x-axis, y-axis or z-axis. So it has three minimum coordinates required for specifying its motion, independent coordinate. So it has 3 degrees of freedom. So the total internal energy of this monoatomic gas molecule can be written as 1 by 2 kBt plus 1 by 2 kBt plus 1 by 2 kBt. Directly I will write 3 by 2 kBt, Na into kBt. 3 by 2 Na into kBt, that is nothing but a total energy in translational motion for monoatomic gas molecule. 3 by 2 Na into kBt. I will write further here, so it becomes what? 3 by 2 Na into kb into t. So total energy 1 by 2 kBt, 1 by 2 kBt, 1 by 2 kB. Total becomes 3 by 2 kBt. Now if you remember, we have derived one equation earlier. I have shown here equation 1 and 2. I will try to write it. dq1 equal to de equal to cv into dt 1, dq2 equal to de plus dw equal to cp into dt. Okay, just middle part we don't want, so I will erase the middle part. So just if you modify this equation like this, just take this part only. Okay, now what we can write? Find the cv from this. Cv equal to what? dq1 divided by dt, and cp equal to what? dq2 divided by dt. So this is nothing but a dq by dt give us a specific hit. Okay, in short, dq by dt give us a specific hit. dq by dt, sorry, de by dt we want. Just I will write once again. So here what we have written, dq1 equal to de equal to cv into dt, dq2 equal to de equal to cp plus into dt. Such type of thing, or just we will use only first equation. Only first equation we'll use like this. Find out cv equal to what? de by dt. Just cv equal to de by dt. Find out cv by this equation, de by dt, and use cp minus cv equal to r, and find the cp from this. Cp equal to r plus cv. Use this equation, we can find out cp and cv. That is very simple thing is this. So let's start according to this. So let's start with this. So what we have written, the energy, the internal energy per mole, this E is internal energy per mole. Here we have used E, here is E, internal energy per mole. Now from this, what we have to find out for monoatomic gas molecule? Specific heat at constant volume. This implies that Cv equal to dE divided by dt. dt means comes here. So what is the value, derivative of this with respect to time? It is 3 by 2 Na into kb. That is said to be 3 by 2 Na into kb, and that is 3 by 2 Na into kb. Na into kb is nothing but r, so it is 3 by 2 r. So we get Cv equal to 3 by 2 r. Cv equal to 3 by 2 r. So Cv equal to 3 by 2 r. 3 by 2 r plus r, 5 by 2 r. So this implies that by Mayer's relation, Cp equal to Cv plus r. Cv is 3 by 2 r plus r. So 5 by 2 r, it becomes 5 by 2 r. So we get here Cp as 5 by 2 r. Now if you get here Cp as 5 by 2 r, if you remember, we have learned the factor gamma. Gamma is what? Cp divided by Cv. What is the value of Cp? 5 by 2 r divided by 3 by 2 r. Okay, so this 3 by 2 cancelled out, r cancelled out, comes to be 5 by 3. Gamma comes to be 5 by 3, and that is nothing but a equation for monoatomic gas molecule. Similarly, we have to apply the same equation for diatomic gas molecule. So let's start with a diatomic gas molecule. So I will write it here, diatomic. Second part we have to see. Second, diatomic. Now we have learned diatomic gas molecule has 3 translational degree of freedom. Apart from this, it has 2 rotational degree of freedom. So what is the total internal energy? It is 3 by 2 kb into T, Na kb into T, Na is remaining. So here 3 by 2 Na into kb into T. This is translational degree of freedom plus to rotational degree of freedom. So 1 by 2 kBt plus 1 by 2 kBt, it comes to be Na into kb into t. In your book, they have taken 2 by 2. 2 by 2 is 1. So simply 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. It is Na into kb into t. So 3 by 2 plus 1 is nothing but a 5 by 2 Na into kb into t. And that is nothing but E equal to 5 by 2 Na into kb into t. That is total internal energy for diatomic molecules. Now here, what is the specific heat and constant volume? So it is dE by dt. And if we solve this for derivative of t, it comes to be 5 by 2 Na into kb. And 5 by 2 Na into kb is R. It comes to be 5 by 2 R. Cv. What is Cp? Cv plus R. So 5 by 2 plus 1. 5 by 2 R plus 1 R. So it becomes what? 7 by 2 R. That is the value of specific heat at constant pressure. What is gamma? Cp divided by Cv. What is that? 7 by 2 R divided by 5 by 2 R. R cancel, 2 cancel. It comes to be 7 by 5. So this is the equation for, just look at the book, equation 3.31. Cv is 5 by 2 R. 3.32. Cp is 7 by 2 R. 3.33. Gamma is 7 by 5. This we have derived. This we have derived for what? Diatomic molecule which has only translational degree of freedom and rotational degree of freedom. We have skipped here vibrational degree of freedom. Okay. So this is the first case. So in diatomic, this is the first case with only two motion, translational and rotational. Apart from this, there is second case also. In that second case, what is the part? Second case, they have just considered along with the rotational degree of freedom get added. Means three rotations are here. What is? Translational motion, rotational motion, and again one is what? Vibrational motion. So in that case, how it comes to be? The total energy, second part. This motion contain only two parts. What? Translational motion plus rotational motion. This part. Now this contain what? Translational motion plus rotational motion plus vibrational motion. So three motions come together. So write down the total internal energy. So for translational, 3 coordinate, 3 by 2 kBt. For rotational, 2 only. So it becomes 2 means kBt only. So it is Na is remaining again. So 3 by 2 Na into kBt. This is due to translational motion plus Na into kBt. This is due to rotational motion plus Na into kBt. This is due to vibrational motion. This is due to vibrational motion. So these things we get. If we add the 3 by 2 plus 2, okay, we get total energy. What is that? 3 by 2 plus 1 plus 1, or this 2. 3 by 2 plus 2. 2 2s are 4. 4 plus is 7 by 2. 7 by 2 Na into kb into t. The kb into t, that is nothing but E equal to 7 by 2 Na into kb into t. Now what is the specific heat at constant volume? dE by dt. Derivative of E with respect to temperature dt. It comes to be 7 by 2 Na into kb. Na into kb is R. It comes to be 7 by 2 R. What is Cp? Cv plus R. It comes to be 7 by 2 R plus R, and that comes to be 9 by 2 R. 7 by 2 plus 1, it's come to be 9 by 2 R. What is gamma? Gamma equal to Cp by Cv. So it is 9 by 2 R divided by 7 by 2 R. R cancelled, 2 cancelled out. It comes to be 9 by 7. So that is nothing but a value of gamma. So remember, in monoatomic gas molecule, there is only one case. Diatomic gas molecule, there are two cases. One we have seen, that is for translational and rotational. Second, we have seen translational, rotational and vibrational motion. So these are nothing but a equation for diatomic gas molecule. Now let's go to the polyatomic gas molecule. Now before going into detail of polyatomic gas molecule, it is very essential to learn what is meant by polyatomic gas molecule. Polyatomic means what? It's an element which can contain large number of molecules together to create a single molecule. That is said to be polyatomic. More than 3 molecules combined together to form a molecule. That is said to, suppose NaCl, they're diatomic, suppose. Similarly, H2O, hydrogen 2, oxygen 1, 3. It comes in polyatomic. So that polyatomic gas molecule, we have to just derive the equation. So let's go to third one, polyatomic gas molecule. In this polyatomic gas molecule, we have to apply the same theory. So find out the internal energy of polyatomic gas molecule. Again, this polyatomic gas molecule has the 3/2 Na into kBt. That is for what? Translational motion plus rotational motion here. Now it is polyatomic. It consists of large number of molecules. So here we should consider this consists of the rotational as 3/2 Na into Kb into T. This is up till now we have taken only Na into Kbt, but here it comes to be 3/2 because it consists of large number of molecules. So it is rotational motion plus some part, that is nothing but in general we are going to consider it consists of third is vibrational, and vibrations are nothing but f number of molecules are there, f vibration degree of freedom. In general we consider it depends on number of molecules, 3 molecules, 4 molecules, 5 molecules, accordingly. In general, suppose f vibrational degree of freedom, then we can write it as f into Na into Kb into T. So this is nothing but what? Due to vibrational motion. So we have reached to this part, translational 3/2 kBt, rotational 3/2 kBt, and here vibrational again, so f times Na into Kb into T. So if we add them, 3/2 means 1.5 plus 1.5, it comes to be 3. 3 plus f, Na kBt is common, so we can write here 3 plus f into Na into Kb into T common. That is total energy. Find out specific heat at constant volume, change in internal energy per unit temperature, change in temperature, it comes to be 3 plus F into Na into Kb. Again, Na into Kb is what? R. So we can write it 3 plus F into R. What is Cp? Cp equal to Cv plus R, mere relation. So 3 plus F R plus R, it comes to be 4 plus F into the R. What is gamma? Cp by Cv. So here Cp is what? 4 plus F into R divided by 3 plus F into R. So this R get cancelled out. What we get? 4 plus F divided by 3 plus F. In this fashion, we have derived this equation for polyatomic gas molecule. So you have to remember this part because this part are very important. Might be in examination they will ask this. Explain the application of law of equipartition of energy for monoatomic, diatomic and polyatomic gas molecule in terms of specific heat. So this part might be asked in MCQ also. So how many degree of freedom? Translational 3, rotational 2, and vibrational it may be F, it depends. Okay, so these are the things that we have learned up till now. Next topic we will start with the absorption, reflection and transmission of heat radiation. Okay, so watch my video and accordingly just see the same topic from book. Thank you.